This video is for the beginners, kind of. The 10 fragrances I'm going to be talking about today could serve as a complete collection if someone is not looking to collect indefinitely like a lot of us do here. If you're just looking to have one crop of fragrances that do everything and not really seek to get all the other new stuff that keeps coming out, then this is basically for you. Now, unlike a lot of videos like this selection of fragrances is not geared towards the person who simply wants to smell good and get compliments. Sorry. It's for the person who wants to enhance their personality and their style with scents that are nuanced and thoughtful to suit a lot of their moods and life scenarios. Now, that's not to say these fragrances cannot get you compliments. I believe that all of these fragrances can get you compliments, and like I've said a few times before in this channel, I think any fragrance can get you compliments. It's all about how you wear them. It is very possible to get compliments from a fragrance that you absolutely love, and that is quite different from the rest. Some of these fragrances might need some growing into. I'm just going to be real. They may not be the most accessible fragrances to every beginner out there. And for that, I would say you don't have to get all 10 of these fragrances. You can easily just choose the ones that actually look appealing to you. But either way, I wholeheartedly encourage you to not blind buy full bottles, as I will continually say. Get samples and decants of these fragrances if they sound interesting to you. I have way more than 10 favorite fragrances in my collection. So I decided to tailor the 10 that I chose to very specific life occasions to suit a range of functions in order to have diversity and versatility in the collection. I also tried to stick to fragrances that are readily available. So there is a number of fragrances I wanted to include here that I didn't because they're not easy to find. So they were instead supplanted by others that would serve the same function that are easier to get today. Let's jump into it. Our first category slash life scenario slash whatever you want to call it, I'm calling easy grab. This is a fragrance you can grab and go for almost every single other occasion I'm going to mention in this video. It has a little bit of everything in it to suit different moods. It has a freshness to it that's great for casual, warm wear. It has a classiness to it, so it can function as kind of a more upscale daytime work scent. It can be formal and romantic because it has a kind of a sweet, warm depth to it. It has a range of characteristics, and we're talking about Gentle Fluidity Silver from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. I do think this is a fantastic fragrance in that it encapsulates simplicity in a way that is different and one that is incredibly versatile. Again, freshness here. Lots of juniper berry, has a sharp, cooling, almost gin-like quality to it, mixed with some spicy coriander. So there is a pop to this fragrance, but you also do have some nice warm vanilla, ambery, musky qualities to it that again make it more sensual, perhaps a little bit sweeter and warmer as it dries on the skin, and also help it last a long time. This stuff is no slouch. It is an all-day scent. You're gonna have this on your skin at least 15 hours if you're looking for that. So easy grab and go for any occasion. If you don't know what to wear, just and you're good, whatever it may be. Gentle Fluidity Silver. For those who work in a semi-professional to professional work environment, or if you just want to smell nice at work in a way that's pleasing but still interesting, I have to offer one of my favorite fragrances coming from the house Overture Parfums. I'm a little hesitant to mention it, but I can't lie because I absolutely love it. This is Oligarch Parfum. Now, the reason why I'm hesitant, because there was an Eau de Parfum, which was replaced by this, which is a little bit more expensive than the Eau de Parfum. I talk about the Eau de Parfum all the time. It's one of my absolute favorite DNAs, and the DNA is still captured here. It is slightly richer and more dense, but it's overall the same profile. So I still recommend it because you can't really get the EDP anymore. You can get this though, and I definitely recommend sampling it if you can. This is fresh, fruity, herbaceous, woody, kind of a commanding scent. It is quite powerful, so I would not spray too much of this, especially if you work in kind of maybe a scent sensitive environment, or you work around a lot of people that don't wear fragrance. This might come off a little bit too try hard if you put on too much. But if you put on just the right amount, it has a refinement to it, but it also smells just kind of nice and clean in a way where you just smell fresh. You smell like you put together, no matter what the heck you're wearing. But if you do dress it up, it's fantastic. That is Oligarch from Oligarch Parfum. We have lounging at home. Just maybe on a Saturday afternoon, you want to put on something that just makes you feel good, that's going to have you smelling good for you and or for someone else. But it's just so easy to wear. You don't even have to think about it. It may not last very long. It's not going to be terribly strong because maybe you'll be cuddled up or something like that, and you don't need something to overpower or reach across the room and grab someone. I got Luministe from Frapin here on my list. This is easily one of my favorite fragrances. I've actually loved it ever since I first bought a decant of it, maybe like 5 years ago. And I finally got a bottle, I think about a year ago. I'm loving this stuff. This is extremely uplifting. Fresh juniper berry, once again, I do love juniper berry. It has a sharpness to it that is piercing, but very, again, uplifting. There are some citruses in here which make it bright and kind of mouth-watering. It is spicy with some black pepper, and it actually does have an overt note or accord of gin, unlike the MFK. It does kind of smell like gin, not quite like a gin and tonic cocktail or anything, but the sharp, cooling spirit nature is in here, but it's so fresh and bright and uplifting. It's not gonna last you more than 5 or 6 hours, but for that time, it is very inviting and very clean smelling and very refined smelling all at the same time. Can easily recommend sampling Luministe from Frapin. Up next is gonna be a casual day out. If you're gonna just go out to run errands, if you're gonna go out to maybe have lunch with someone, or you're just gonna be out for a walk, this is a great one to pick if you're not gonna go for the easy grab. This is one that is very likable. This is one of the few designer fragrances on this list, and it's one that not everyone's gonna love and appreciate because it was kind of a disappointment in the context of its release, but I tried to hate it for that reason, and I absolutely love it. It's super wearable. It's a little different from all the mainstream stuff, but it's still very likable and can pull compliments if you want that. That is Dior Homme 2020, a fresh, musky, woody fragrance that's kind of sexy but also smells clean. That's the best way I could describe it. It's a simple fragrance, not super basic, but very simple. Performance isn't fantastic, but on my skin, I get anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. I'm not mad at that. It does smell quite casual. I would not really dress this up, hence why it's not my grab and go fragrance. There's others I would reach for, and the MFK has a little bit more of a multi-dimensional experience, whereas this is a little bit more one track, but still smells great for a casual day. That is Dior Homme 2020. For a casual night out, this fragrance can easily be a little bit more formal, but I do find that the strong boozy quality in this makes it a little bit more casual, a little bit more playful perhaps, than something super, super formal, which we'll get to. And we got to talk about Triumph of Bacchus from Argos. Again, one of my favorites from the house for sure. I think it was my first love from the house, like true love, like eyes open, wow kind of scent. This kind of smells the way that it looks. It is very boozy, lots of rum in here. You got juicy, opulent peach and apple. So there's this sweet kind of fresh fruitiness in there, a little bit of spicy saffron, and some earthy tobacco that is pretty round around the edges. It doesn't come off smelling too dark or rough, but there is a masculine edge, as a lot of people say about this fragrance. People say it leans masculine. I do think it's unisex because of that fruity sweetness. There's even some florals in here like jasmine, which kind of round out the scent. It really just adds an elegant air to the scent in the air as it wafts and as you get that trail. It's intoxicating. It is very attractive, and it's also quite powerful, so you don't need too much of it. I do think it works beautifully like in a leather jacket on a night out, either going to a bar, pub, or to a restaurant, hanging with friends, just something that's not too serious. It's great for that. That is Triumph of Bacchus from Argos. As I always say, save some money, get you a discovery set with the code FRESH10, get 10% off any purchase, but I do recommend you check out that discovery set if you want to check out the entire brand. We have a romantic date. When you want to smell, as I just said, romantic, if you want to smell like something someone wants to get closer to, there's something beautiful about this fragrance. There's something very alluring about it, but in a way that is still very classy and not super, super sexy. But the right person might find this sexy. It is maybe a little bit more of a mature fragrance. From Chris Collins, one of my absolute favorites in my collection, Oud Galore. Not a cheap fragrance. Again, recommend sampling it. This is a beautiful, easy to wear, easy to smell oud and rose combo, which is a very common trope here in perfumery, but it's done here in a way that is so smooth and kind of buttery. There's orris root in here, so there's a buttery, smooth, almost creamy quality to this slightly medicinal, smooth woodiness, opulent rose that is blended to perfection here. A little bit of spice in here, maybe from some cinnamon. It smells of money, but it's so romantic. The rose in here really just grabs people and pulls them in, and it just makes you smell very delightful and warm and welcoming. And it's very powerful. You don't need much of it. It doesn't project like crazy, but as you move about, it will just kind of stay in the room and linger. So be careful, especially if your date leads to a close encounter. At the end of the night, you don't need much of this stuff. 2-3 sprays max is going to be great. After a few hours, it'll still be there, but it'll still be something that you can get close to. It won't be overpowering. Oud Galore from Chris Collins. The whole house is wonderful. This is the only bottle I have, but I do recommend checking out all of them. Get a discovery set, see what you think. Formal. A lot of these fragrances could have been flipped and flopped for different occasions, but I just wanted to establish some clarity here. With formal fragrances, I want something that is classy and refined and unapologetic and unique, but also not completely off the wall. We're saving that for something else. And this has got to go to Creed Royal Oud. One of my favorites from the house, I think in my top 3 from the house, period. And gosh, this is, believe it or not, I didn't love this scent when I first smelled it. I had a decant of it. I bought a 10 ml decant, and I think it was based on Dan, Mr. Smelly 1977's recommendation. He was praising this fragrance. He said it smelled like Christmas. I'm like, that sounds weird, but he said it was amazing, so I bought the decant. And I had to agree with him. Yeah, it smelled like Christmas, but that's all I was getting. I was getting like a Christmas tree. And it was not pleasant to me. But I held onto that decant. I kept revisiting it over the years, and I just grew to love it so much where I finished it and I had to get a bottle of this stuff. This is dry herbal woods with a little bit of a spicy sweetness in there that's not overt, but mostly dry cedar wood. I don't get a ton of oud as per the name. There may not even be any, but there might. So classy and refined. It smells authoritative in a way. It smells really put together. You dress this up in a well-fitting suit, it just works. It smells beautiful. Royal Oud, one of my favorites for sure, and something I can easily recommend for someone who's looking for something that is gonna captivate them and those around them. Now we have the showstopper. This is, in my opinion, for the nighttime only. I would only wear this at night, and I would only dress it up when you want to make a statement, when you're not concerned about whether or not everyone likes your fragrance or how likable you'll be, but as long as you present yourself with the best of your personality, treating people with respect and kindness and understanding, looking them in the eye, smiling, shaking their hand, this is gonna help you be memorable for sure, even if it's not something people will compliment you on in that moment, but in the right scenario, they might. From Amouage, this is Overture Man. This is an expensive fragrance. I paid a lot of money for this. I paid less than retail, but I still paid a lot of money for this. I would not recommend blind buying this. Luckily, it is a little bit more accessible than it used to be. It used to be only available overseas, I think in the UK. It is now available worldwide as of not that long ago, and I did find some places you can get samples, so I will link them down below. No affiliation to these places, I just want to help you guys out. Do get a sample of this stuff. It is not for everyone. It is quite animalic and it is quite sharp. But there's something very rich and deep about this scent. Lots of cognac in here, lots of spices, a splash of sharp kind of mouthwatering grapefruit up top that's not gonna last long, but it is a nice welcoming opening. But you're mostly gonna get these animalic notes that are borderline dirty. They kind of scratch the nose a bit in a way, but in the air, this stuff is, I think, intoxicating and incredible. This is not something to smell like this for the first time. When you first spray it on, let it waft. I wouldn't even advise smelling it up close. At least for the first time you smell it, and for a good 10-20 minutes. Just let it sit, let it waft till you get it in the air. You might ruin your experience by doing this. It is very polarizing, I'm warning you. So don't get a sample and do this and then write me saying, Justin, it's terrible, I hate it. Just take my advice. Don't do that. Let it sit, let it waft. Take note of it. Then after some time goes by, if you are still interested, yeah, dig a little deeper. But incredible fragrance. It's totally a showstopper. That's Overture Man. Now we have my guilty pleasure, a fragrance that is gonna be more of a mainstream, easy to please fragrance. This is going to have very compliment getting qualities to it, something that is intended to make you just smell good and kind of make you blend in. But this particular fragrance, I can't explain it. I just love the way it smells. It doesn't smell special, but it just resonates with me in a way I cannot explain. It's kind of a part of me in a bottle. There's a portion of me that is this fragrance. The funny portion, the playful portion, that is Calvin Klein Euphoria Intense. This is, again, kind of basic, sweet, aromatic and fresh, with some spicy qualities, with some woody qualities. It's kind of creamy and just very inviting. It is kind of sexy, again, kind of playful, but it has enough of a darkness to where you could actually wear it at night on a casual night out. It's not my first choice for it, again, unless I'm just trying to be fun and I'm in a really uplifting mood and I want to have kind of a sexy edge that is very pleasing and likable. This is one I might reach for as kind of a guilty pleasure, not one I would boast about because of my personal taste, but I can't deny that I love it and I'm happy to recommend it because it's probably, yeah, easily the cheapest fragrance on this list. Up next is what I call the anti-fragrance. This is kind of a weird category. I just decided to make it and put it in and leave it in, but this is a fragrance you wear when you're not really in the mood to wear something. Now, obviously you can just not wear something, but say you still want to put something on, but you want it to not really remind you of a cologne-y smell or a fragrance that actually smells like natural ingredients in nature, or something that smells like you're actually trying to smell good. But it is a smell and it is a very present smell, but it works for me in this scenario. That is Ganymede from Marc-Antoine Barrois. And this is, again, for me, this is more reminiscent of a scenario or a place. It smells like you're getting into the back seat of a brand new luxury car with beautiful leather interior. I could talk about it more, I could break it down, but that's what it smells like to me. It is kind of fresh, it is almost metallic in a way. It's a little bit unusual, but it's still very wearable, and it's also quite strong. I will spray on maybe 2 sprays of this on some days when I don't feel like overtly smelling a fragrance, but I still want a little bit of something emanating in my space. But I often wear this stuff for a lot of other occasions. I just wanted to put it here in the list in some kind of spot. But this is a stunning scent that is unlike almost any other. Check it out. I've been talking about it for a while. I will keep doing so. Ganymede from Marc-Antoine Barrois. And surprise, I have a final category, an 11th category that I'm calling personal. And this is a fragrance for you. This doesn't have to be this one. It is kind of up to you to find what this fragrance is. For me, at least in this point in time, this is it. This is one that most people are not going to like. This is one that I don't even know why I like it, but I can't deny that it captivates me and I can't get enough of the smell and I can't stop smelling it when I put it on, but I'm very careful about where I wear it. I might only wear it at home, again, for me. Gucci Guilty Absolute. Again, polarizing stuff, not for everyone. Medicinal, dry, woody, earthy leather. That's really what it is. It doesn't change much on the skin. It is not intended to please. It is a very refined smell. Another way I would wear it is to really dress it up and not spray on too much of it, but most of my wearings are gonna come by myself at home. But again, this is just mine, so you're welcome to give it a shot if it sounds interesting to you, but your personal fragrance is gonna be totally up to you to discover. Okay, that is my list of fairly unusual recommendations for the beginner. At the very least, I just hope it gives you some ideas of how you can look for new fragrances, even if you don't seek these out. I like to think in practical terms, not just theoretical. It's not just about, oh, this smells good, so buy it. No, where would you wear it? How would you wear it? I'm always thinking about that. So I'm just trying to pass that on. Let me know what you think down in the comments of these fragrances if you've tried them, or just what you think about this idea of beginners fragrances in general. Again, this is an unorthodox list, so I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.